All right, all right, all right. It's like a fat kid on Smarties. We are ready to go. I'm so fucking excited, boys. It's my second favorite time of the wrestling year. We're coming up with the Royal Rumble. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to go over some preview for everything on your favorite podcast, the Rub Wrestling Podcast, with Josh, Matt, and Chris, or Matt, Chris, and Josh, or Chris, Matt, and Josh, whatever. There's so many. It's just like Skittles. There's so many different combinations to figure out what we go. But as you can tell, this is our second episode that we got on video, ready to rumble with you. No pun intended. And, you can find our podcast on, everywhere. Chris, where can they find us? Come on, tell us. Now with Riverside, where can they find our amazing podcast?
Well, audio only. You can find us on all your major platforms. We are still Captivate, so all those still go out. And now we have video on YouTube. So everywhere. You can find us everywhere.
Bitchin'. So basically, I just want to say I fired up a pepperoni glizzy and a little piece of cheddar cheese rocking out here, and I have an apricot strawberry energy drink from a very popular company. Josh, I might have mentioned that it's the Royal Rumble, but I got some trivia for you. Basically, if you look at this number of entrant at the Royal Rumble has won it 5 times. 2007, 2008, 2016, 2022, and 2023. What number would that be?
Wait, for women's or men's?
Majoritively it would be men's, but it says 5. It's for the men's match. I'll say that these are one of the top numbers.
So 2023, Cody did he come in first? Number 1.
It's actually number 30. So number 30 is that number where it's won the most at 5 times. Now, Chris, I got a little bit of a harder one. Yeah. Got a little bit of a harder one for you, Chris. You excited for this one here? 3 times as an entrant, this number has won the Royal Rumble. 1995, 2004, and 2021. But the caveat to this is, once you're done and you've figured out the number, name the 3 wrestlers.
3, Bret Hart.
No, you got to guess the number first. What number is it?
Number 3.
It's actually number 1. So number 1, we had 95, 2004, and 2021. Who were the
Ric
3
Flair?
Who were the 3 entrants?
Ric Flair.
I thought Ric Flair was. Was Ric Flair number 1 entrant? I don't think he was. Ric Flair was a number 3 entrant.
Who else?
I know. I actually
Shawn
don't even know
Michaels.
Shawn Michaels is 1.
Who else one is a number 1? Shawn Michaels is the only one I can think of.
Think of the earliest one that I just said for 2021. Josh looked on the internet already. So, Josh, you got which one is it?
There's Chris Benoit, and Edge. Chris Benoit and Edge, and then also Rhea Ripley.
Wow, Rhea Ripley won at 1 too. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, she wasn't.
That's why I thought it was number 1.
That's cray. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. So when you look at that, bingo, bango, bongo.
Goddamn copyright strike from WWE for saying Chris Benoit, probably.
Damn it. We'll just call him Chris B or L Benoit. Right? Like the old Simpsons Lisa S, or let's just say it's L Simpson. We're gonna pretty much kick this off, guys. You know what? Like I said, I'm sure you guys are. It's one of the most wonderful times of the years when we're looking at this and we go across the whole scenario here, and we'll give you guys an option. Which one do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the women's Rumble first, or do you want to start with the men's Rumble first?
Women's.
I'll give you the pick. Josh, you pick.
Yeah, women's is fun.
Start with the women's first. All right. So, obviously, Royal Rumble's nuts. Got to go over the top rope. 2 feet on the floor. If you have 1 foot, then some crazy shit ends up happening, like when Shawn Michaels won the Rumble at number 1 and both feet didn't hit the floor, and he threw out, I believe it was the British Bulldog.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of scenarios for this. So when we look at the women's Rumble and we look at the top 5, and I know that we're on camera and I'm looking to the side, it's because I'm trying to follow up my notes here, but the top 5 for the women's Royal Rumble match go as follows, from the first person that's supposed to win based on the odds to the bottom 5. So we got Bayley at plus 100, Becky Lynch at plus 200, Jade Cargill, surprisingly, at plus 500. Nia Jax at plus 800 and Raquel Rodriguez at plus 900. And so some other numbers that are in the bottom after that, Bianca Belair at plus 1,000, Sasha Banks, believe it or not, at plus 12, Liv at plus 14, Asuka at plus 16, and Baszler at plus 2,500. So, Chris, you're looking at this Royal Rumble match from a women's perspective. You know, and you're seeing everything here. Do you truly believe that Bayley is the front runner here at plus 100? Because Bayley hasn't been the front runner for anything in a long, long time. So, which kind of really shocks me when you look at the betting odds at plus 100. The TV leans in towards her with what's going on. But honestly, do you think that she's going to win the Rumble come Saturday night?
I think it's interesting. It's going to. I'm sure we're all going to watch it, but because as we've mentioned, it's my favorite PLE of the year by far. Geez, Jade Cargill, that number, that I don't see that happening. But Bayley I would be okay with that. I'd actually be okay with that because a lot of Royal Rumbles can lead to a turn, right? Can lead to what if Bayley starts early and she lasts a long time. And people kind of get behind her again. I can kind of see why these odds are kind of more in her favor like that. I don't think it would be bad. I think Bayley's always held the championship pretty well. Bayley's good corporate worker, comes back from injury, works, has put other people over. So, and I mean, she's getting up there too. So, I mean, there's not much, she's not going to be around forever. She's getting older. So I think I didn't really think of it until you mentioned it. I thought like Belair would be kind of a lock or maybe, sorry, since I've been sick, I can't even think anymore. Seth's wife,
Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
Or that would be a good one. Charlotte's hurt, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so Charlotte's not in the top 10, which and if she was in the Rumble, she would be in the top 10, right? In my opinion. But yeah, she actually tore her ACL, MCL, and meniscus.
Yeah. So I don't know. Jade Cargill will be. I think after having Cody come in and win it last year, like two people coming from AEW coming directly and winning the Rumble, that doesn't make sense to me. Asuka. I mean, every year she always deserves it, but she's not going to get it. So I think Bayley, it's like they did this with us a little while ago with Randy Orton in 2017, I believe it was, right? Where, a veteran comes in and they win the Rumble. So I would actually, since you mentioned it, I would prefer if Bayley actually won it.
I think when you look at both those things and you kind of go through, like those are two very different names when you think of Randy Orton and Bayley. Like Randy Orton can step into a main event, and I think Bayley hasn't been in a main event for a long time. She's been the leader of Damage Control, and I think even for a lot of fans, they really haven't thought that maybe she should even be the leader of that group in some of the cases. Josh, do you agree with what Chris is saying here? Do you think Bayley has a legitimate shot, or what are your feelings about her being the front runner here at plus 100?
Yeah, I agree with Chris. I think I was actually I think I was also surprised because she doesn't seem like a clear winner based on like the position, like how they book her. I guess I'm not sure. But the storyline now like makes sense. Like when you think about it, you think, okay, so she's already said if she wins, she's going to face Rhea Ripley. But like maybe like if Chris says like there was that face turn, then she starts feuding with Damage Control, and then she actually goes after Io Sky, and then you have a clear match that is like going to be huge, and you give Bayley her WrestleMania moment that maybe she's not had before. I don't think she's main evented WrestleMania, and I do think that like there is a reason to have one of the women's matches as being a main event at WrestleMania. I would pick Rhea Ripley over anybody else for that, just because Rhea Ripley's the bigger star in my opinion. But I also think that this year it'll be both men's matches or men's events that'll be listed as the main events for both nights, because the potential with the Roman Reigns and if Seth Rollins is guaranteed to be at WrestleMania. But yeah, so I think that Bayley for sure could be a viable winner. When I thought like who could win right now, I agreed with like those top five, except for maybe like Jade Cargill was the one surprise. I guess I could see them doing that. But like, if I were to think who are the five biggest women's wrestlers in the WWE right now, I think like the storylines Becky Lynch, obviously Bianca Belair, because she could have her WrestleMania moment with Rhea Ripley. That would be a massive rematch. But yeah, so
I think there's a lot of things that kind of happen here when you're kind of looking at it. I think Charlotte basically, trashing her entire leg there and basically having that issue really kind of threw things off. And I think Bayley sitting at plus 100 for me is kind of a weird spot. And one, it's because it's the most prevalent story right now in the women's division. Basically, the control of the leadership with Damage Control. Bayley's been a heel for a long, long time, which is something, Chris, I never thought about maybe a turn and looking at the Io Sky thing, because I think she is going to kind of, maybe that is like, I'm going to pick Ripley and then all of a sudden something's going to change and I'm going to go after Io Sky. Like that's probably a much higher probability than I thought it was 5 minutes ago. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, yeah, I was really shocked to see Jade Cargill in the plus 500, and I think one of the reasons why Jade should not be there, I think when you're looking at that, is like Jade should be in the Rumble, in my opinion. I don't think she should win it. And that just goes right back to the AEW thing, too much, too quick. And I think really the challenge from the opening when you saw her and Charlotte Flair is eventually a build up for that in 2020 toward 2025. We haven't seen Jade at all. And signing that deal means she's just been wrestling at the Performance Center, right? So that's really interesting. I don't think Raquel has a shot. Nia Jax is interesting. Just because I don't know really how to say this. Like, we don't have a lot of tall, bigger women that can really do a lot of damage, and Nia Jax can be that person. Like, the sad part is WWE has had a couple times, at least three times, to really book her as a killer, and they just don't do it. Like, she would be an epitome about booking like as kind of like a female Brock Lesnar, right? Where just using size to your advantage, going through, come up with some devastating power moves, and really start utilizing those through. Like, for me, the Royal Rumble is a perfect opportunity to really create a new star if you weren't going to go the Bayley route, right? So like, I like Nia at plus 800. She's not going to win, I don't think, obviously, but I think this is the time. Somebody said it best when I was watching like This Is Awesome on the WWE Network, and somebody said like the Royal Rumble is an opportunity to kind of do two things. One, it's the opportunity to develop a new superstar or a superstar to go to the next level, but it's also for the talent to really show what they completely have in that match and to really utilize the time that they have given for what's there. So ultimately, you're part of a plan. You're part of kind of a not a script, but like a scripting for it and where you're going to end up and how you're going to play out. But at the real end of the day here, it's about really coming up with a superstar that we can create. And I think this is one of the reasons why I think women's wrestling gets a little bit stale in the WWE is not having those people like pushing that Raquel Rodriguez to the next level. She's been injured a few times, but really kind of creating something new that somebody can get behind. So it'll be really interesting to see. Now, quick question for both of you. I'll start with Josh on this end. Who do you think would be a surprise entrance that you would really like to see on the women's end for the Royal Rumble happening tomorrow night? Anybody in the past, anybody that's there? I mean, obviously they have to be alive. They can't be a hologram.
Yeah, like I think there's an opportunity to bring someone back like a Trinity Fatu or like a Mercedes Moné would be like, I mean, that would be a bigger like bombshell, but I don't think that that's going to happen with either. So like, but I would be interested to see Awesome Kong.
Yes, I fucking love you. Oh my God, I love you. I want Awesome Kong too. I want an Awesome Kong fan party. Favorite wrestler of all time for me, probably on the women's side, is Awesome Kong. Chris, who's a great surprise entrance? And don't say Awesome Kong because that's Josh's in mind.
My surprise entrant that I would like to see would be Gail Kim. That'd be a cool one for me to see. Not that we will, but I think that would. She was a pioneer and she finally got to WWE. Like, yeah, that'd be the one for me.
Yeah, I even thought that there would be a chance before she signed with AEW that Deanna Purrazzo might give WWE another chance and go back, right? There's a few things. Like, I'm really hoping to see maybe some talent that, was on one of the smaller shows like TNA or NWA, maybe getting a shot as somebody brand new and fresh getting out there too. I don't know who I'd really pick. I mean, we've kind of seen a lot of the women come back and a lot of stuff, but Awesome Kong would be definitely up there on my list. Trying to think, man. Like, probably, like, I always enjoy Mickie James coming back into the WWE fold, even though we've already seen it. So that would probably be one for me. She's always really, really fun in those matches and has a good time.
I would have said that if I didn't say Gail Kim.
Yeah. Gail Kim's rough because of the way she left, right? So that's the biggest challenge. So, Chris, are you going with Bayley as your winner? Who wins the Royal Rumble for you on Saturday?
This one's kind of a toss-up for me. I'm gonna my best pick, my educated guess is Bayley, because I think they're gonna take somebody and because they can go either way with that, right? They can make a story with Damage Control. So I think storyline wise and what I believe makes the most sense and what I think they'll do, I think they're gonna go with Bayley.
Okay, Josh, is Bayley your final answer for Saturday?
I'm going Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I'm going to second that. I think I'm going to go with Becky Lynch as well. So I think there's a little bit more. I don't think, Chris, what you're saying with the Bayley angle is a bad thing. I think there's a little more versatility with what you can do with Becky Lynch if she ends up being the winner over the 3 months, because you don't have to announce who you're fighting right away, right? Like, that's the best part. So that'll kind of conclude what we're going over with the Women's Royal Rumble. Let's move on to the Men's Royal Rumble, which I don't know if it's going to close tonight. I have no idea what's going on. I don't even know I think every single match on this card as of yet. But we'll talk betting odds real quickly here. Let's go over the top 10. We got CM Punk at 125. We got Gunther at 180. Cody Rhodes at plus 250. The Rock at plus a K. Drew McIntyre at plus a K. Jey Uso at plus 14, Sami Zayn at plus 18. Here's a good one, guys. Maxwell Jacob Friedman at plus 25, Solo Sikoa at plus 33, and then the absolute long shot is Biggie Langston at plus 5,000. So, all right, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I don't really know what happened there, but some crazy shit happened with my computer, so I apologize what's going on. But we're back on. Chris, why don't you finish your thought about what we were talking about in regards to Roman Reigns and The Rock?
So like what I was saying, I just don't think it makes sense for Roman Reigns to lose the belt now. Why lose it now? And then you would just lose The Rock and Roman Reigns for WrestleMania and make it a match that's not over a belt. I mean, the moneymaker is putting The Rock with the belt. So I don't see. I mean, geez, it's tough, especially for LA Knight with the Seth thing. If that goes longer, like I feel like they're giving him as much time, but like if you're gonna pull I was talking to my buddy, I used to play baseball in Toronto, Vince, and we were both like, the time to pull the trigger on him is now, because but now they're putting him in this match, so that kind of sucks for me because I can see it going downhill for him after this. So
yeah, there's a couple things there too. Like, so one of the things that I actually heard was that they really want to have Rock and Reigns maybe headline one of the nights not for the belt. Like, that's actually something that they were thinking about doing, and kind of doing like this, a way to either write Roman off. It was almost like that, to kind of a way to break up the bloodline and break up this head of the table thing, right? So that's kind of interesting. So the rumor was that Roman wasn't really a big fan of it. He wasn't really happy. And I think one of the things that he really wanted to do was, I think on a personal level, is probably beat Hulk Hogan's record, right? Of longest serving with the title at that point. So that's the one reason. Now, if that's the case, what it would open up, if that were to happen, is that now it changes the story for Cody, and the person that they're talking about winning that match looks like Randy Orton. And I mean, it's funny what you guys were talking about with LA Knight. Like, for me, that with AJ coming back into this match and, looking like, I don't want to use this tagline, but phenomenal, like in phenomenal shape he's come back in. Like, LA Knight, to me, could be the weakest of the four in that match, right? And that's
He is.
kind of one of the things where it makes it extremely hard for them to pull the trigger on him now. He would be probably on me the least hot, when 3 months ago he was probably the hottest thing, on. And it's not that he's not hot. It's just, you just got a weird dichotomy of wrestlers here where you got the champion that hasn't been beaten in like 7,000 years. You have the old veteran, the grizzled veteran who's come back after 2 years or whatever it was and is white hot coming back in. You have, another vet who's not as hot as the white hot vet, but has come back in, has a new demeanor, went back to his old TNA demeanor almost when he was like going to join the Aces and Eights, something a little more darker. And then we have kind of the same old LA Knight. And it's kind of funny because it's just the way that the whole thing plays out. Now, going back to what I was saying, it was looking like to save Reigns and save face, Reigns wouldn't be pinned. And then basically it would be Orton versus Rhodes to kind of set up this kind of student versus master versus student for the Universal title on night 2. So it's kind of interesting to see if that actually plays out. Now, my question is, I agree with you, Chris. I would rather see The Rock and Reigns for a belt. And I don't want to see The Rock win because then it kind of devalues what you've done for the last 3 years and he's been out for whatever it is. It's just, he doesn't need the title at all. He just needs to lose cleanly. And I think the problem with the match with the title is that there's predictability. Without the title, there's a little bit of an air of unpredictability there that the match can go either way and that's going to change the emotions. Josh, I know I've rambled on the Rumble and rambled on the men's side, but what do you think about what I'm talking about here? Is there legitimacy to what we're saying here? What would you do to move this forward?
Yeah, it's tough. I could see, so there's a few things I could see, and I agree with you guys. I agree with you about LA Knight, and I actually think that LA Knight would have done better. He would have been another option to win the Royal Rumble. That's how you get him into that title picture. But I agree, there's no way that he's going to be the guy that beats Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble. If anybody wins that match besides Roman Reigns, it's going to be Randy Orton. I think that the way that you can do the Rock match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania without the title is if it's for head of the table, and then you have Solo just going to turn against Roman, and then you have a bunch of gimmicks that make the Rock beat Roman Reigns, right? But I don't want to see that match at all. I'd like to see that. I think that the story needs to close with Cody versus Roman. Now, if Roman wants to beat Hulk Hogan's record, he needs to win at WrestleMania. He's got to go to WrestleMania and win it to keep it, because he's got more than 100 days behind Hulk Hogan's record. So that means that Cody's story is not going to close if Roman Reigns wants to beat Hulk Hogan's record. I think, unfortunately, and I hope it's not true, but I think that CM Punk might be the winner of this, because Cody Rhodes, if they decide to go Rock and Roman at WrestleMania, then Cody Rhodes can't win at WrestleMania because his only person he should be challenging is Roman Reigns. And I just don't see that Randy Orton's going to beat him at Royal Rumble. I think it's quite possible. I actually think it's more like a 3 out of 10 than Chris, because I agree that they could get to that Rock story. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I really just don't want to see him win at WrestleMania. I really want to see the story end.
It's kind of
the first big. Sorry, it's the first big PLE where I would actually say that I don't want The Rock to show up. And I hate to say it, but I mean, it throws off so many kind of crazy plans with this happening. So I apologize. I cut you off. So you continue. We're Canadians, so we have to say sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I just mean, there's a lot of excitement. There's not a lot that we can call right here. So it's actually, especially considering how cool of a pay-per-view it is, there's a lot there's a lot of face and heel turns that could happen just over this one PLE.
Yeah, and I mean, the scenario comes here is that if CM Punk does win the Rumble, and I'll get to who you guys think will win next, what does the story lay out for Cody, Josh? What happens to Cody after this if he doesn't win the Rumble? He can't go over and fight, he can't go over and fight for that title, right? So does that put him against Seth? Does that put him is the story over is what I'm trying to say if he doesn't win the Rumble on Saturday night?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think there's a chance that I also, there's some rumors like there was a betting odd line that the winner is actually CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, and they do a double winner at the same fall, which would be really hard to make work. But I don't know. I think that Cody, it's really tough because like everything that's kind of happening right now outside of in the ring in WWE could change how everything gets booked in the next like few weeks, right? Like
Day?
even if Cody wins the Royal Rumble, like there's no guarantee how that story is going to go. I still think it leads to Roman Reigns. Uh, Cody's my favorite to win, like in the sense that like I think it's better. It's more likely for him to win over CM Punk, and it's less likely for Rhodes or for Reigns and Rock to actually fight at WrestleMania. So like I actually think that it's going to be Rhodes. I just think that like the WWE is silly and it's going to put it on CM Punk, and I just don't want to see that. So, but like there's that chance, that conspiracy piece, like that piece of me that's like I want to think that WWE is going to do something. Well, I just think that like there's also that piece that like part of what Phil Brooks's requirement to come back to the WWE is that he gets his WrestleMania headline, and the only really way to guarantee that is for him to win the Royal Rumble or for him to come close in the Royal Rumble, like finish second. And it was like, and then he can, go after Seth Rollins a little bit. But I don't know. I'm not buying this CM Punk stuff. So
it's hard. I mean, you know what? There's even a scenario here, a really like late scenario that The Rock could actually win the Rumble in a way too, right? Like it's just there's so many stories that we could talk about and go through, but the one thing that we know for sure just by going through this right now is that it's completely up in the air. And that's something in a lot of Rumbles that we've seen over the last few years, other than like Edge coming back and winning the Rumble that one year. Usually the winners that we pick are probably the winners that are going to win it. Like I remember the Madison Square Garden one where they talked about, the rumor came out with John Cena coming back after his pec tear, and he was going to come in at number 30. And you know what the one thing it did was he's like, yeah, he came back in and you look great. And it's like, yeah, he was in there for about 10 minutes, which I mean is a great accomplishment, but it also buys him 3 months to get ready for WrestleMania, which I'm sure that he was still rehabbing that, right? So there's a lot of little things that would come into play for this. And I think but Chris, if you had to pick your overall winner tonight, and not your personal preference, like who do you think is going to win the Rumble? Who do you think is going to win the Rumble? Can't hear you, buddy.
I think
technical difficulties.
I think Gunther's going to win the Royal Rumble. I think he's going to make Yeah, I think he's going to make a play at the other belt too, not Roman's belt. Unless Roman gets past, man, see, you know what I mean? There's so much we can think about on this one. It's actually really good because you have to think Gunther's got to be going somewhere, and it's got to be coming soon. But how do you take the belt off him? How do you make him look weak unless he vacates the belt?
Or just ends up being a double champion and then vacates.
Yeah. Oh, imagine that. Holy shit. I didn't even think of that. Little Gunther 2 belts.
Well, Gunther 2 belts. I like it. Josh, what are you saying here? Who do you think is honestly going to win the Rumble? Because I'm surprised Chris even said Gunther there.
I think that Gunther's a good option. I agree. I would love to see Gunther win. I agree that the Intercontinental title kind of gets in the way, but that is like a viable option. I think he's a more viable option on the Raw brand than CM Punk to fight Seth Rollins, because he already confronted Seth Rollins. Like, they're setting the stories up, and they always do this before the Rumble because they want to have like multiple guys who can have that like WrestleMania moment, because like at any point someone falls over the top by accident and it's fucked. I'm expecting a Kofi Kingston moment again, and he's gonna fuck it up again. Like, no more like, how is the ground? Why is the ground not lava? Like, why is a chair touching the ground, not the ground? I don't understand. Anyways, I digress. It's not going to be Kofi Kingston. I think Cody
Use your imagination, Josh.
I do, but like, what's the limit? What if a table breaks and it's touching the ground? Is an inch enough to not be the ground? Like, there are no limits when it's a work. Right. Well, it's all a work, but it won't be Kofi. It's going to be Cody Rhodes. That's who I'm predicting.
I hate to say it. I think CM Punk's going to win it. I think they're going to go with Phil. I'll tell you why I think they're going to go with Phil. I think one of the things for him is that one, it's probably contractually obligated, but I think they're still gonna. I don't think they're ever gonna screw Cody out of the story at some point. I think what they're really trying to do is they're trying to delay it because they're going to have him go on a run with it. And I don't think it's going to be a Roman Reigns-esque run, but I think it's going to be a 9 to 10 month run. Cody, when you look at a lot of the stuff right now, like when it comes to WWE Raw, the stuff that's in and around, he's the one that's basically right now close to being the face of the company. And I don't know if they really want him to be the complete face of the company yet while Reigns still has the title. I think it's a scenario where he either wins it or he goes another route, but some way, shape, or form in the next year and a half, that guy will be the face of this company. So I don't know how we get there, but I think it would be interesting with CM Punk. And what my gut tells me CM Punk, because it throws another roadblock into Cody's way of actually getting the title. And I think it would be interesting to see how that is. And I think fans want to see those two go. And I think with Seth's injury coming up, he'll probably fight his way through WrestleMania. But the problem is that WWE might not want him to do that. And reason being is, with now that the information is out there about the injury, he either fights with it to hold on to the title or he loses at WrestleMania. So the question is, what if you have him lose before WrestleMania? Who would be the man? If it ends up being, let's say it could be Cody that wins the belt, it could be something. Like, it's just, there's something more to this that's, I can't really see at this point on what it's going to be, but I think it'd be awfully silly as well with the CM Punk pick to not ride LA Knight on SmackDown for the months that he was all over, and then all of a sudden for CM Punk to come back in 2 months and derive that white heat that he has coming into it, right? So I don't know. Something tells me that it's not going to be Cody. They want fans to be disappointed, and I think this is a great way to keep them second guessing about the American Nightmare. So I think CM Punk's going to take it down. Now, Chris, out of all the years, anything that's going on, you get a surprise entrant. It could be somebody from anywhere you want to go. Who would you want your surprise entrant to be right now?
Okada.
Oh yeah, well, you just want to hear.
This is just for me, because I'm a big entrance guy and I love the and then when and they fucked it up so bad for AJ, like you just see Roman Reigns' dumb look the whole time, and then it goes to show you finally AJ Styles. No, but I'm big on especially comeback entrances, and I think hearing that coin drop would be pretty cool. Will it happen? No, I don't think so, but it'd be cool.
Be interesting for sure. Josh, who would you like to see?
I don't really think that there's going to be anybody that I could pick that like of a surprise entrance. Who I want to see is Omos. I want to see Omos. Give me the Giant. I want him back. But like if you were to say like who would shock me the most, I would think a MJF would be a huge, like a crazy, like, oh my God moment. I don't think that I think he's already signed with AEW, and but yeah, Okada would be really cool. And then I'm trying to think of if there's anybody else who's maybe, Dustin Rhodes could always be like, if he is, I don't know if his contract's been, but like there's kind of been like little rumors that he might make like a little comeback to have like a final little go with Cody.
Well, he's been on TV lately, so.
Yeah, I know, but I may be seeing his contract. I was thinking like potentially his contract might be up soon, and maybe that's like. But really, I think for me, I want to see Omos. I don't really care about the surprises. I think that the one big person that was coming back is not going to come back now because of what happened. So
I want to see Dennis Rodman. I want to see him come in and just fucking
Rodzilla. You want Rodzilla and Carl Malone come in?
Rodzilla come in and just get squashed and just kind of end it. Just have him come out and just like, I love the Royal Rumble for, you know what I love, Chris? One of my favorite ones was the Gobbledygooker, or when Pete Rose came out, like, or whoever else, when Drew Carey was in the Rumble, whoever, like, I just love this, the comedic person that comes in, and it doesn't matter to me. I know this wasn't the Royal Rumble, but like, one of my favorite all-time WWE moments is when Titus O'Neil slipped and fell under the ring.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite things of all time. And I showed Itzia it the other day, and she watched it. She goes, "What the hell happened there?" I said, "That's like one of my favorite moments in wrestling history, pal. Like he just fucking tripped, slid under the ring, and that was the end of his wrestling career. Like he was just
Yeah,
fucking
you
done
just
after
saw-
that. Like
you just
there's
saw the
no
end of
coming
a
back
career.
from that."
No,
But-
I liked
no.
when Santino Morello came in and then like immediately
Lost
got
in a
eliminated.
second.
Yeah.
John Cena.
John
John
Cena.
Cena, you son of a guy.
What did he call Mr.
Son of a
McMahon? He
guy.
called him something.
Did he call him? One time he used to call him Vincenzo, Mr. Vincenzo.
Mr.
But
it
one
was
of my
something, yeah.
favorite moments with Santino, another Santino moment in the Rumble was when he had the Cobra and him and the Cobra and Mr. Sacco went at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
that
so
the
good.
comedic stuff in there is just so funny because you got to remember you're in there for an hour, right? And I love the
Yeah.
new stats and everything that goes into the Rumble because it's like something Chris said before. It like truly makes it feel like it's a real sport in a way, and it isn't. But the stats make it feel real, and I think that's like real cool. Like, oh, the all-time record of people like Brock Lesnar throwing out 4,000 people in 5 minutes, or that when Stone Cold kicked a bunch of people out, and like that's the coolest shit to me. Like even the trivia and all that stuff that comes with it. That's what makes the Rumble really fun. So
Still real to me, damn it.
you got it. But other than that, we're not going to talk about a lot of AEW that's going on today, which is kind of surprising. We're going to kind of stick to WWE because there's been so much news that's been going on. And one disclaimer is that we know that there's a big lawsuit and everything that's going to potentially be going out with Vince McMahon and in regards to some actions that have happened. I know if you're a wrestling fan, you've read what I'm talking about. As a podcast, we've decided that we probably won't be talking about that at any point just due to numerous reasons. Guys, is there anything else that you want to add on this before I continue? No, right?
Oh no, on that, no, I have nothing.
No,
to say
on that
about
topic, we've just decided as a group that we think it would be better just to stay away. If you do want to read up on it, it is all over the place. You will find it, and it's up to you if you decide to do that. Now, one of the bigger things that we've kind of seen in the past week as well is we're going to talk a little bit away from the wrestling ring, and we're going to talk about the business side of WWE and what this Endeavor TKO merger has basically brought to the table. And one of the interesting things that they brought up is that I believe starting in 2025, that Raw will be going to Netflix in a streaming deal worth probably close to, I believe it was $5 billion was the number that I heard. Now, that's pretty much a game changer. Now, Chris, Netflix stock, as much as this is not a like I like to say, a John Bradshaw Layfield JBL money podcast, Netflix has lost a lot of shares over a long period of time. Is a merger like this or a deal like this with the WWE and moving into sports as a streaming platform for them going to be something that's going to move those stocks back up? Is this going to be a mutually beneficial deal for both companies moving forward?
I don't know. I mean, Netflix tried Lucha Underground for a while. That didn't go through. I don't know. There's a lot, there's just so much, and like this gives AEW a little bit more of a chance to kind of get out there and regain some cable ground. It gives TNA a chance to regain some cable ground where people not our age, but people a little older than us have been lifelong wrestling fans who don't subscribe to Netflix aren't going to go and get Netflix for this. So I don't know. The WWE network was such a big deal, and now it's just going to be gone. I don't know. Well, I don't know. That's the thing. So
you're fucking telling me, honest to God, that you're not going to pay $20 for Netflix to watch Monday Night Raw when you pay like $39 to watch like Raw and SmackDown together and NXT and the WWE network?
I can't say how I watch TV on here.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, we got you.
I don't think it's going to affect us at all. I actually think Sportsnet's going to keep it because it's a different deal, like Netflix USA versus Canada.
No,
like
the
problem is
streaming rights are in Canada. Canada
Oh,
is part of
okay.
the streaming rights.
So
Oh,
basically,
well,
you'll get it with your Netflix account in Canada. You'll get it. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be picked up by a TV deal, and that's fine. I mean, bottom line is you're not going to lose SmackDown at this point, anyways, right? Now, Josh, I'm gonna talk after you. Now, what do you think about this as a streaming deal? Do you think that this is going to be mutually beneficial? Do you think that this is going to move? My question is, make the wrestling fans watch more on Netflix and make Netflix a higher company based on this deal that's come together.
I don't really know. I'm not really. I mean, in light of recent things, it's hard to say what the trajectory of if either company is going to be. I think that like it's a significant amount of money, and that the product's going to have to I don't know, adjust or change maybe a little bit for Netflix. I think that there's a lot of people who already have Netflix. I feel like a lot of people who watch WWE probably already have Netflix or know someone who has Netflix. I don't know how much Netflix costs in the US. I don't know how it works if you have the WWE network. Like, how does that work? And in Canada, you know, we get access to all the PLEs already through Sportsnet, so I'm not sure how it's going to affect us. I think it. I think that potentially it's going to be mutually beneficial, or potentially like WWE could be in some hot water that could really impact how everything works out. But I think they're going to get through it because they're such a big company, and really the controversy could be kind of like snubbed through, you know, just like some the way that it'd probably be happen. We'll probably see it happen anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I think that like I don't know, Netflix doesn't really seem like a live, like it's not really like a live television programming. So like how do you watch? Is there live that streams on Netflix? I don't watch anything like that.
So this is where I'm going to cut in and I'm going to go through. So just because I have a lot of sports streams that I that are aside from Sportsnet and from whatever. I mean, if you look at WWE going to Netflix, it's going to be the exact same as what you're watching right now on Sportsnet or TSN or DAZN or Fubo if you're in Canada watching. And we're not promoting these things, but it's just the truth of what's out there. I want to watch English Premier League soccer. I'm a big soccer fan. I have to watch it on Fubo, right? So I don't have a choice. So anything that I'm going to watch, like FA Cup wise or Carabao Cup wise in England, has been given out as TV rights. So they go to Sportsnet and TSN. Now, the difference here is that this is the beginning of what's going to happen to television in general. Like, it's all going to go to streaming sites. And, you know, like, that's the challenge right now, because I think TV has had such a monopoly on everything for years and years and years that this is the way it's going to go. This is how we're going to consume our media and stuff moving forward, which is going to be really, really interesting. This could be one of the first of the really big deals that happen, because Raw is not just, you know, one of the biggest shows on networks like TSN or Sportsnet. You got to remember, this is now the most consecutive, like what, it's the longest running consecutive television show in the history of TV, episodic in the history of television, moving to a streaming platform, which is, that in itself is fucking crazy. Now, Netflix, we talked about stocks are down for Netflix in a lot of cases. They're probably up now with this news, but because the problem with Netflix is the ability to get new subscribers. And so now what you've done is now you're taking away from just movies and TV shows, and now you're moving into sports. And I think now that you're moving into sports, if this makes a lot of money, who's stopping the NFL from doing it? What's stopping from the MLB from doing it and just saying, okay, well, MLB's on DAZN, NFL's on DAZN. Well, who's going to offer me more money? It just leads to another player coming in and saying, you know what, DAZN's going to give you $2 million or $2 billion. I'm going to give you $6 million. It's just going to go to the highest bidder, right? And so with Netflix, no matter what people can say, they have a ton of money. $5 billion to them to get up their subscribers is not just going to be more traffic for them on their site. It's also going to lead to more subscribers, more money coming through, which is going to inflate that stock price, right? So it's going to be nuts. I think it's a great deal. And I think that's how it's going to go. I mean, what we're going to see is we're going to start seeing a lot more people combat for sports streaming moving forward, because it's just so easily accessible to do a live show like they have and move forward. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like, Sportsnet's not going to die if they don't have WWE content. Like, TSN's not going to die if they don't have AEW content. They're still going to survive. So, you know, and I think that was one of the things that even when we talk about AEW, that Tony was leaning into. Maybe it's going to Paramount as streaming. Maybe it's going to another site and saying, we're just going to stream our content here. but then he has to get the content to Canada somehow because we're going to be really pissed off if we don't get it. And that's the whole point. You want worldwide distribution of your product. So one way, shape, or form, we're going to get it. But I really like the fact that it went to Netflix. I find it's a crazy deal, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if Netflix is going to be the right platform for sports. Because if it is, that's going to open up so many things, right? So not just for just professional wrestling, but for sports in general, which we all love.
And if I can just jump
Woo!
in for a second. That was Matt. That was a really great take on it. Actually, like I actually agree with you 100%. The only thing taking it worldwide with Netflix is that there's so many agreements and so many licenses in place, right? So they're gonna start small and then they have to license that to, because the way you look at it, even though Netflix is in India, there's still a company that there's still somebody there, right? Like you still have to negotiate licenses when you move to a different country. So your take was really good, but it'll be interesting. Will they get up there? Will they get worldwide with this? I think they will. Yeah.
But I mean, it would be the same thing if you were to look at something like DAZN coming out and just like getting NFL football, right? It's going to be the same. It's going to be the same type of platform. Like the licenses are in agreement to show it on CBS, NBC, and all that stuff, right? But that was the cool part about me having DAZN. Like even Josh was like at one point, he's like, "You get every football game?" I'm like, "I get every single football game." So and Red Zone, which was great. So one of the reasons I actually canceled DAZN was to just because I prefer Red Zone over every single game. So generally that's what I would watch, and TSN had that, and so I just saved some money. I just kept my TSN network, right?
Yeah, great take on that though.
Thank you. You're always telling other people. You always say to me whenever you're having, your drunken moments and how much you love me. You're always telling me how smart I am. So I appreciate that I can show that intelligence on this podcast sometimes. That's really what it's about. But guys, I think we're kind of closing in, man. I don't know. Like, I think we're running at about close to an hour. Is there any other topics that we want to discuss tonight?
You know what? I don't think tonight you said, with that being said, once.
No, we're not there yet. We're not at the end.
I've been hearing with that being said all week, all the time on TV, on videos, all the time. It's all I hear is with that being said. But
Josh,
I
don't feel bad.
I'm the right person.
Josh, don't feel bad. One of the sad parts is I actually used it in an email today and I laughed. So I wrote it in a work email and I said, that's fucking funny. Josh would laugh right now if he could read this nasty email I'm sending out. But don't worry, we'll get there. We have one thing to do before we get to that though, Chris. You know what it is? Josh has to fucking slice his fucking salami. Josh, take it away. What are we slicing this week? It's been a while, so let's make it a good one.
It has been a while because I don't think I did one in the last episode. Welcome to the new year. With that being said, you know what really slices my salami? Too many no-sells. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with a no-sell, but that's kind of like a special thing that only a few people should be able to do. And it happens in AEW almost the most. And it's like there's like 15 no-sells in every match, and it's not special anymore. And I want it to be special. And it's not special. It's supposed to be limited to a very few wrestlers. And I'm not saying that not every wrestler can find that moment. But too many no-sells really slices my salami.
Yeah, you know what it shouldn't be? It shouldn't be a fucking Dynamite on a Wednesday night where Hook kicks out a fucking one on a fucking muscle buster from Samoa Joe. That fucking horse shit. And I'm sorry to say it's horse shit.
Who
the
produced that?
fuck did that?
Who did
honestly? And then I love Samoa Joe's answer the next day when they were brought up, and I think it was the next day or day after when I was reading the articles, and they asked him on Twitter about, what the fuck was that shit? And he goes, "I'm appalled too. Let's start a petition. We should never." Like, he just played it off, like, because he probably doesn't fucking care. He's just like, whatever, it happened.
By the end, he asked why he couldn't already see a petition being made.
Yeah. So it's fucking. I totally agree, but whoever fucking wrote that. And it's not about Hook's size. I honestly thought Hook performed pretty well in that match, considering all things considered. But when you're kind of looking at that, they're kind of like Muscle Buster is one of the most devastating moves in professional wrestling. There's no way that kid should have kicked out at one. That's just fucking common sense.
him being in the main event was like giving him the taste. You don't have to book him to kick out at 1. Like, man, it's just like going. You just watch it and you're just like, oh no.
Yeah, it was cringy as shit. But anyways, with that being said, we're coming to the end of the podcast. Chris, is there anything that you would like to add at this point? Anything else that you'd like to bring up?
That was it. Just loading my gun.
Josh, are you locked and loaded?
Bang, bang, scissor party, baby.
All right. With that being said, wherever you are in the world tonight, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. We all bid you adieu here from the Rub Wrestling Podcast. Bang!
Beats running copacetic. When it all falls down, I hope you don't forget it. Nico City, son of anarchy, the hype the man at me. Mikey Damage show you amateurs the cost of vanity. So fuck humanity, flowy murder open-handedly. Most of my clique, yo, they come from broken families. The world that we know it is coming to a closure. Can't find peace in a world full of soldiers. Can't stop getting older. Up north where the streets run cold.